Hey there, what's up, fam? It's your favorite girl here, your favorite travel cruise specialist, the travel ho, coming to you here from my home office here in Boston, MA. In today's video, we are going to be talking about my time aboard the MSC cruise ship, the Divina. All right, guys, I had a chance to review this ship and check this ship out in October of last year. It was actually a Halloween cruise. When I picked the dates, I wasn't really paying attention. I'm not a big person who celebrates Halloween, so I really wasn't paying attention until way later after I booked and I started packing. And then it finally hit me. I said, hey, Halloween is that week. So I had to go back, repack my suitcase a little bit, try, excuse me, try to do something a little different. But yeah, so let's get into it. So, day one aboard the MSC Divina. Now, you know what? Before we actually get into it, let me just kind of talk to you a little bit before we get into the ship review. So, one of the things that I would suggest, if you can, is to fly in the day before. I tell you, I see this question asked and this conversation had in a number of different travel groups that I'm in. And, some people will say, I can't afford it. You know, I will say this. If you are planning a cruise, definitely plan on and include the cost of a hotel in your price. Um, and so what I like to do is on average, I like to just set aside, I say almost maybe 1500 to 2G, just for the cruise itself, the cruise, the flights, hotels, and any food that I might incur before I actually get on the ship. Now, people may say that's a lot of money or whatever, but again, it just depends. So, if you can, plan out for that. Just make sure that you set the money aside so that you can, avoid the extra headaches sometimes that can come if your flights get delayed or canceled. I will tell you this, I've actually had this happen to me where my flights got canceled the morning of. I was actually probably just about on my way to the airport, and I got an email that said that my flights were canceled, not delayed, canceled. I can't tell you what a crazy day that was. That was actually, I believe, for my Christmas cruise. What a crazy day that was. We were up at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because this was still during COVID, so you had to take tests before you set sail. And we were taking it that morning because you had a certain time frame, blah, 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 blah. It just kind of went on and on and on. But nonetheless, late that evening, 10, 11 o'clock at night, I think it was, a $60, $70 Uber ride later, we'll talk about that another time. We finally made it to the hotel. And boy, were we exhausted. It's me and my son, and we were beat. But we made it there, still having time to relax a little bit before we got up the next day to get to our cruise ship. So I like to simply say that if you can afford to go in a day early, make it as streamlined as possible for yourself, because we do know that flights get canceled and delayed all the time. And so to avoid those things, um, give yourself an extra day. All right. So that's what we'll talk. So I'll end it there with that. So let's get into my time aboard the MSC Divina. So day one, we were setting sail out of Miami. We were going to the ports of Belize, Honduras, Costa Maya, Mexico, and their private island, Bahamas, Ocean Key. And most cruise ships will always have a private island somewhere in the Bahamas. All right, so let's get into it. So, getting to the port that morning was quite interesting in terms of which door we went into, which side of the terminal we went into, because originally we were supposed to be on one side. We got an email that they switched it, and when we went to the one they told us to go to, they were like, "No, you need to go back to this one," which we had just passed. We had to walk all the way down, so we had to walk all the way back. It was crazy. In the process of doing that, we were also trying to check our luggage in. Man, so we walked over to the guy. We want to check our luggage in, and we weren't late by any means. Our check-in time was at 10:30. So, we walked over and said, we want to check our luggage. He's like, "Oh, just take it inside," which I thought was a little odd. So Long story short, we wound up carrying our luggage on the ship ourselves. So we get there, we get to the terminal, we go through the check-in process. I want to say we were on the ship probably no later than 11:30. It might have been a little sooner than that, but I think I'll give it about an hour between, check-in IDs, and doing all the things they need to do in order to get you on board. Um, Again, if you can afford to make sure you do all of your paperwork, your health questionnaires, and everything, do that stuff before you get there. It will make it a lot easier. And yeah, so I want to say, yeah, about an hour. It might, like I said, might have been less than that, but we'll go with an hour between getting in and getting all checked in and actually boarding the ship. All right. So we were set to sail off at 5 o'clock, I think, which was the also around, I think, 5:15 was the sail away party. Now, one of the things I will tell you that I disliked about this was the time change. Man, listen, the time changed at least 4 times while we were on the ship. I don't think I've ever been on a cruise where the time has changed as much as that has. So I think when we first got on, we had like it was like an hour time difference. The clocks are going back an hour. It was all kind of crazy. So you never really knew what time it was, because you either had to go back an hour, go forward an hour, and then go back. It was absolutely crazy. One of the other things that I didn't like, or that I won't say I didn't like, but I'm not used to so much, is that this particular cruise ship, now not the cruise line, excuse me, not the cruise line or some of the other ships, but this particular ship, the Davina, is not there's no app for it. So everything was old school. So when I say old school, I'm talking about paper daily programs. All right. Now, there's nothing wrong with paper programs. Some, people really like those. And a side note, even if you're on a cruise that has an app, you can normally can go to customer service to the desk and you can ask for a paper planner. And the reason why sometimes it's helpful, because I know sometimes, we're using our phones a lot, we're taking pictures, our phones die, whatever, and we're not quite sure what to do. And so there's always usually a daily insert with any cruise line when you get the programs, is that there's usually this daily planner. And this has everything on it that to do at any given time. It lets you, so you get the time, you get the activities, and you get the location. You get to know exactly where you're going, and it's stuff for the afternoon, the evenings, and where the music is on board. And then on the back, there's usually always kind of daily specials that they're offering. All right. So having the paper daily planner is not bad, but again, this particular ship itself does is not on their app. All right, so that was one of the other things that I didn't like. So we didn't like the time change. I didn't like that there wasn't an app. Um, but other than that, I mean, it was what it was. We got on board, we got acclimated. Again, we had our luggage. So it was, we had to kind of tote our luggage around. But we were able to kind of check, um, go to our cabin and kind of check. Now, I know the rooms weren't ready or they were still cleaning some of the rooms, but we were able to actually go to our cabin, find it, and there were one, the cabin steward was there, and he did let us put our luggage at least in front of our door, which was cool. So we didn't have to lug it around too much. We were able to drop it off, and then we kind of went on about our business, explored the ship, got acclimated with the ship, went and got something to eat, and yeah, we just kind of hung around and just explored the ship for that day. That was really day one of our time. Again, we set sail at about 5 o'clock. We had early seating for dinner, which was about 5:30, 6 o'clock. And so literally by the time we're sailing off, we were actually having dinner. And food was, main dining room food. It was good, nothing um nothing. I don't really have anything bad to say. I usually don't. It is what it is. Our table, our waiter and assistant waiter, they were excellent. The whole 7 days we were there. So overall, day one was great. We just hung out. We just chilled out, and Hung out by the pool a little bit that evening. I mean, yeah, that evening, and we kind of went and checked out a couple of shows or whatever. And I think the show for that night, let me check my planner and see what we did that evening. If I can tell you what we did. So let's see. Oh, I think okay. So that night they had the Name That Tune Michael Jackson. That's I think we did that as well. And then we checked. We like so we walked around the ship. They had karaoke that night under the stars, and then they had a welcome night. That was in the club actually. Now I will say with MSC Divina, they were at least on the paper. The cruise, the club was supposed to be for anyone 21 and older. Um, that was one of the things I noticed that was different than other cruise lines. Most cruise lines, at least 18, you can get in. But with MSC Divina, it was 21 plus to get in. So that was day one. Stay tuned for day two, and we'll talk about our day at sea. All right, guys, until the next video, I appreciate you all. Wishing you all peace, blessings, and prosperity. Peace.